Welcome to the Xander Speaks podcast, where guests share their failures instead of their success to inspire you to go out and fail. Hey, it's actually our first podcast, our first official pilot episode.
This is really cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So, so tell us who you are, because everyone wants to know.
Yeah, no, my name is Leif Welhaven from 406 from the Billings area. I'm an OG, as they say. So, born and raised right here in B-Town. So yeah,
awesome,
cool.
So we've got a couple good topics to talk about today. What do you know of the podcast so far?
I've heard you talk about it on our show and talk about the failure piece, and that's something we really wanted to kind of focus on. I kind of understand the history behind the name of the podcast. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
It's an interesting name.
Yeah. And I've been dying to see this space. So there's a lot of reasons there, but no, I think I just really am captivated by I was searching for that word, captivated by the topic, because I think it's always looking for something new and unique that's different. And this is that.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. Like, our show is about failure. Mm-hmm. You know, it's about the idea that you can overcome failure regardless of, what situation or where you're at in life. And so, but not only that is that, there is a genetic predisposition to people who fail, which sounds like a bad thing. It's like, man, I am conditioned to fail. But what it really means is they have the ability to overcome adversity.
Right.
And so that genetic difference is people that have the ability to start something, and if they fail, they can move on from it.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, most people can't start.
Right.
That's why we're here.
Right.
So, cool. So you're obviously a very successful person. You have your own radio show. You have your own consulting company, multimedia marketing. You are all over the place.
Life has been good. Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun. But no, I mean, it hasn't always been easy. So, but I know we're going to get to that. So, yeah.
So tell us what you do and what are you successful at?
Yeah, no, great question. So I would say what I do, I like the multimedia angle, but yeah, I have a marketing and motivation business. I think that's the easiest way. It's called LW Consulting, but it's marketing and media. So on the marketing side, I have 7 people on my team, and we execute projects in regards to websites and social media management, graphic design, use of Google and YouTube ads, things like that. I recently added a gentleman that does photography and videography, and then I have another gentleman coming on my team that also does drone photography and videography,
which is kind of huge because you have to be licensed now to do that, right?
Yeah. So he's gone through all that on his own, and he has a traditional 9-to-5 job that I think he's looking to do something different from. So
yeah, we're
going to utilize his skill set, and all those people are all independent contractors. I just partner with them. That's really the best way to say it. So
yeah, that way they're not tied to something. Like, correct. If they want to do something else, you're not locking them in and saying, hey, you have to be loyal to me.
Correct. They got other gigs, other people they do work for. And then on the motivation side, I do a lot of speaking, as you know, coaching businesses, individuals, presenting and things like that. So it's crazy life. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Life.
And you just started something new that I don't know if you thought you'd ever do, but it's something that I think, this community and really the world needs right now. Tell us about that.
Oh, with regards to the radio show. Yeah, no, for sure. I was asked about a year ago, maybe even longer, if I would host a radio show. At that time, it was going to be like a noon show, like a 11 to 1 drive time. And I was like, that sounded okay at the time. Yeah. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's like the busiest part of my day. That's probably not the best.
Just going to drop everything and go record some radio.
Yeah. Right. But I definitely saw it as a potential platform, and they were going to potentially team me with another gal who was a lovely person, beautiful person, inside and out, but very polarizing. And so it wasn't the right vibe. I didn't quite feel it. I was like, well, let's wait. Yeah. Let's wait and see. So
let's find somebody else. And then you did.
And then we did. Yeah. I was contacted by the radio station. They said, hey, we got a guy who we think would be a good match as far as a pair or partnership that you could work with. And his name's Brett. And so Brett and I met each other, and we hit it off. We have a lot of the similar mindsets, some certainly different, come from different parts of the country, different parts of how we view the world. But at the same time, we want what's positive, motivational, inspirational, giving tools to people to help them become the best versions of themselves. And I wasn't really sure how it would like sell. People going to buy that. I mean, consume it.
Because I mean, there's that idea of like the toxic positivity, right? Like, are you doing too much, in relation to like, what people's real lives are? But I think you guys do a good job at kind of balancing that out. We're
trying. We're learning for sure. It's definitely a learning process. And so learning the technology, learning how to balance the guests, how to balance
because you've never done radio before this.
No. I mean, I've obviously been interviewed and things like that.
But those are like, you never managed the show or produced it. Yeah,
no, for sure not.
This is new.
Yeah. So no, it's exciting. It's been great. It's been fun. Really looking forward to us continuing to up-level it and make it better, more structure as we've talked about, and just making it better. And I think it's evolving nicely. We're getting a lot of great guests on the show. And so things are swinging right along.
I love it.
Kicking it. We're kicking right along. So, yeah.
As awesome as that is, very well that we're not here to talk about that though. Right?
Correct. No, if we did that, we'd be over there. So yeah, no worries.
So we're going to start out. I'm curious. You have a couple things in your life that I think you definitely feel that you failed at, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
And whether you've succeeded past that, you can mark those as failures, right?
Yes.
And so the first one that
absolutely.
You talked about and that we talked about before is your relationships. Talk a little bit about what your relationships you failed at.
Absolutely. I feel like so many I failed at relationships with my partner, with my children, with my ex-wife, with my, probably I would say my close family, like my parents, my sister, just all those really close to me.
Yeah.
I've always been the type of person that kind of gives the proverbial stiff arm, maybe not literally, but figuratively to people, where because if people on the outside were to see me, they would say, man, this Leif's got thousands of friends, which is in some cases true. It's probably more like thousands of acquaintances.
That's the way that I put it.
Really
people are like, everyone. And I was like, I have a lot of acquaintances.
Right. And so I tend to, over the years, and as I've learned through lots of therapy and counseling, that there's a reason that I kind of inadvertently, subconsciously have kept people at a distance. I don't let them get too close to the core. And I think a lot of that has to do with my own insecurities about myself. And so that's why I've always kind of kept people at a distance. And I think it certainly has hurt me. It's hurt my relationships with all of those people I just mentioned. I just never let people really close to me. And not even just those people, even people like yourself or people in the community that I do love and care for. I really like them. I like being around them. I in a lot of cases, I love them. But do I really let them know? Do I really let them close to me? Do I really let my guard down? Do I become vulnerable and authentic? And that's probably my biggest failure in life has really been multiple relationships.
That you just kind of put up walls.
Yes. Yes. The proverbial, literal wall at times, for sure. And so
and because of that, I think the failed part comes in with when you put up the stiff arm or when you put up the wall, right? Like people don't get let in,
right?
And then you end up like you can just by yourself.
Very much.
So, and people look at that as, I mean, granted how much of a narcissist or a sociopath you are, like, that's not good for humans. Like we are, creatures who love to be around other people. There's no really like lone wolf mentality when it comes to humans. Biologically, it's just not how we're built.
We are better together than we are apart, for sure. And that's taken me 57 years still working on it, Alex. So yeah, it's a real thing.
And I feel like it never ends, right? Like
it never did.
And I
think that was a misnomer on my part. Is I thought, well, by the time I'm 50, I'll have this thing kind of figured out and licked, and move on with my life. And that was not the case. Not the case. And my partner in life, she basically approached me one day and said, I think that maybe you struggle with relationships, getting close, the way you attach to relationships. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's isolation. And she just encouraged me to reach out, find somebody to talk to. And it was done in such a positive, nurturing way that I was like, there's probably something to that.
Yeah, there's got to be.
So when I started to visit with counselors and therapists, I really started to uncover and kind of peel back those layers, right? Of why do I put up the wall? Why do I put up the stiff arm? And so it's really been hugely helpful as to help me kind of identify where I can make some headway, where I can make some improvements and let down the wall, become more vulnerable, more authentic. And I think a lot of it was some of the preconceived ideas of, I always thought that if I was authentic or vulnerable, I always thought that was weakness.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, it wasn't that I wanted to be a macho guy, because that was really never it. I was just, well, that's not positive. That's not good.
It's a cultural thing. We talk
Societal,
about that. It really is,
sure, sure.
And, as you talk about the relationships that you've failed at, I think one of those could be the relationship with yourself. Right?
Starts there.
And honestly, like I look at it from a mental health. Point. Yeah. Right. Like from a mental health standpoint, I think, because we've talked about this before, like, I've struggled with mental health and I still struggle with it. It's an ongoing battle.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think one of the things that I had to realize really quickly was, I got to get rid of that stigma. Like, being a man and being tough and like not letting your feelings out. I had a friend of mine, a mentor, who passed away yesterday, and I'm not a crier. I don't cry.
Sure.
But man, I broke down yesterday because that guy was such a huge part of my life. And the reason that I kind of pursued the things that I do pursue.
Sure.
And I thought I never would have done this 10 years ago.
Right. Just festers inside. Who knows what happens inside?
Yeah.
You keep
just
it,
get to explode at some point,
Boy.
And so that's a huge thing, I think, in our society, is like men are not allowed to have feelings.
Well, and in addition to that, I would always see people on social media spilling their guts, or not even say that. I would just say like just venting on everything. And I was just like, oh man. So part of me was like, well, there's already so much negative and stuff out in the world. Do I need to really add to it? But I had to realize that it was just me more sharing, and being vulnerable was going to, like you said, uncover and help, like you said, me become a better friend to Leif, which would be, which was where I needed to start. And so that was, that's a good key, good pickup.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So in addition to, like I said, there's 3 key areas you feel that you have kind of failed in, relationships being the first part. You talked about athletics being the second part, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people don't think of athletics as an area that they can achieve success, but you feel it's one of your failures.
Yeah, no, I was a very successful athlete when I was younger in all the sports, but in particular, I was really good at football. And
what position?
I played fullback back when I actually used to use fullbacks. Yeah. They don't use them much anymore.
No, they really don't. Yeah.
I was big, tall, strong, fast. And so I was good at that. Good blocker. Anyway, I just really enjoyed football. And as I look back, one of the things I really enjoyed about it was the relationships, hanging out with the guys, camaraderie.
Yeah.
Of course, you are looked up to, in the eyes of public or people, girls, whatever.
There's
all those
that
kinds
like
of
Titan
craziness.
status, right? Like we watch these gladiators every weekend.
Right. And so I think where I failed was really 2 things. One was I don't think I lived up to the potential that I had as an athlete. I think I could have achieved more. And part of that was maybe just not having the right priorities, or hard to say really what it was, but and then the other thing was I got injured and I got hurt, and I always felt like I should have worked harder to come back from that injury to be more successful. But
like maybe it was a mind over matter thing,
right?
Where you just didn't push hard through like PT or something.
I could have worked harder, for sure. And I know that we're going to talk more about the byproducts of that, but I'll wait till we get to that part of it. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a difficult, I think, concept for a lot of people to understand, especially if you haven't been on a sports team.
Right.
And I think even if you have been on a sports team, if you're not really ingrained in that sport, and if you're not committed 100% or 110%, you don't quite understand it. I look at, I ran track and cross country for years, and my dad would always get on me. He would give me shit all the time about trying to be better. Like I would not show up for some practices, and I would show up to meets and place first.
Right.
And he's like, what the hell is your problem? And I'm like, I just didn't care. Like I had the natural talent. I didn't want to go any further.
Right.
But then
a really good point.
The other side that you talked about is the camaraderie. And as someone who served, that
Yes.
is a huge part of why people stay in.
Oh,
and what they
absolutely.
miss about
Feel
it,
that community piece wrapping around them.
Yeah. And they
They may not even know how to verbalize that, but you're 100% right.
Yeah, exactly. And
Express it.
it's the idea that, you're all wearing the same uniform. You all have the same objective, and you're all kind of going through the same shit, essentially.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the same
Blood, sweat, and
suck.
tears together.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's really good.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah, that was definitely an area that unfulfilled potential, I would call that phase of my life.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that was a failure.
So it's crazy, and I want to talk about it real quick. I know you were
please
hinting
do.
at it earlier. To go from being, a fullback to being a full dude.
Right.
Like, I mean, you were a big guy at one point.
Oh,
you know,
my gosh,
I mean,
yes.
if you don't mind sharing, like, what was the biggest weight that you were at?
Yeah, no, I would say it wasn't that long ago. Honestly, it was probably maybe a year ago, first part of last year. I was afraid to step on the scale. That's how I knew. I mean, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Like,
Damn, yeah.
like pants now that I would say like some jeans, like a 36, some a 38. Back then was probably like a 56 or 58.
Holy shit. Wow.
I mean, big guy.
Yeah.
I would say I was probably tipping close to 375 plus.
Damn.
Yeah, big, and I could always carry it. I think I mentioned that before. I was a big guy. I could carry the weight. I could justify it in my mind. You know what I mean? And it's funny because I know we were talking about it, like, clearing your plate, the way you're conditioned as you grow up. But I was always, people come up to me and pat me on the back. Hey, big guy. I was always known as, big guy.
The big guy.
The big guy. And after a while, you kind of wear that with pride. Like, yeah, I'm a big guy.
A big guy.
Big guy. I can't lose weight because then I wouldn't be the big guy, you know? Pat on the back. And that was craziness. I look back at some of that, the way that we perceive ourselves. But no, I was getting older and I was like, if I don't get the weight off now, it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
As I get older.
Oh, yeah.
You know what
100%.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I look at other people that I know, and it's not that I want to help them or that necessarily, but I look at some people and I go, man, that dude is going to be in the same boat as where I was. And gosh,
or worse.
Or
you know
worse.
What I mean? I think there's genetics that play into that too.
Oh,
and
1,000%.
I mean, I've seen a lot of big dudes who have lived to be into their 90s. Right.
But
that's not the norm.
No,
like the morbid obesity part of things. And I'm not obviously hopefully not body shaming, like different sizes, but people struggle with that. Right. Like,
that's what I feel for.
Yeah.
I really feel for them. I know what they're going through. And I always just kind of want to, I just kind of want to say something like, dude, I get it.
Yeah.
If you need something, like, I understand what you're going through, and I don't want to say it in a condescending, put down way. It's really more of an encouraging, like I feel you. So So what happened was after I lost all that weight, all of a sudden I had all these extra clothes, right? That I was just trying to
just
sell,
clothes,
purge, get rid of, whatever. I mean, I was selling for pennies on the dollar, and found a couple of guys that were, I would say, were going through some of the same feelings I had, and I'm like, dude, I just don't want to throw this away or like burn it. I mean, I really want somebody that can use it, and but I told two or three of these guys, like, hey, I get it, I know what you're going through. And whether or not that was comforting or not, I don't know, but it was just, bigger clothes are more expensive. I mean, you can go on and on, but it was just, so I guess that was something I felt that I failed. That was my own body image, the way I felt about myself, which goes back to your point of, that guilt. Oh man, I just had a 6-pack of beer. Oh, I just ate those, 3 burgers. I mean, then it would just continue to spiral down. And so that was rough.
Because I think barring an eating disorder, like you can't turn back from that. Like, think once you consume those things, you're like, oh, well, I just finished off 2 meals,
right.
And
well, like you said, I want to eat healthy today. I'm going to make some changes, some gradual changes, change some habits. And all of a sudden, you experience a grief or a loss or a death or whatever.
Dude, that was me yesterday. I was like, I need to eat
something.
I literally was like, and it's funny because like I started eating healthier yesterday, and then
the challenge comes up.
And then challenge, that mentor of mine passed away, and I was like, fuck this. Like I'm going to McDonald's. Like I need something with salt and carbs right now.
Right now.
Like, and I was like planning it out too, and I was like, shit. I can't do this.
You
Because if I don't start this journey now,
podcast is that you can cuss.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot to tell you that ahead of time. Yeah,
no,
you were welcome to. Yeah, this isn't radio. We can say
Oh, yeah,
whatever the hell we want. And so,
no, that's good. Sometimes you need that little extra punctuation.
You do
on something.
It makes a difference.
That's really good.
I mean, I even warned listeners out there before. I said, "Hey, this podcast is not your grandma's podcast."
Right?
I'm gonna swear.
Yeah,
you know? That's just my nature.
No,
you know,
and I a lot of it is mine too, and so. Sometimes I probably swear more than I should, but sometimes it warrants it.
It's crazy because like, and it's a cultural thing again, you know, like in America, you know, we had that very like PC, you cannot swear. I mean, you even look at like FCC guidelines that say, you know, anything that's like morally abhorrent, you can't say on the radio, you know, it's why like, goddamn can't be said,
right.
You know, you can't say shit, fuck, like any of that stuff on the radio, you know, but this is the internet and there really is no boundaries for that.
Yeah.
And
no, I love it. I appreciate that. I do.
I'm here for you.
I got you. Funny.
Oh man. Okay. So last thing I want to talk about, because it's the last thing you felt you failed at was your finances, which I think a lot of people this resonates with a lot of folks.
Yeah, no. And I've always looked at finances as kind of a private thing. Like I never ask people how much they make. I never like when people ask me how much I make. And so like,
well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've always kept the finances kind of almost, I would say too private. I mean, like too private. I kept too much away from my partner, you know, things like that. I mean, it was just because I look at money a little bit differently than a lot of people. It is important, but to me, it's just a means. It's just a means, a piece of paper that helped me get what I want or do the things I want to do or give to the things I want to give to or the people I want to give to. I don't get too hung up on it, but there's definitely times where I haven't put enough importance on it.
Yeah.
And so I think I mentioned this the other day because I recently had a birthday. When I turned 50, I was one crabby dude. And it wasn't because of how I looked or felt. It was more, I felt like I should be further. Like in my mind growing up, like, when I'm 50, I should be like, I mean, sure, should be making the most I'll ever make or whatever. But like the next step is probably retirement. Yeah. So I should be close to that.
I need to have
far away from that.
401k. Like I need to have a savings account. Like I need to, and I mean, a lot of these things, there's some stat that like 63% of Americans don't have $1,000 in their account,
right?
You know, which is crazy, but like,
crazy.
And that's, you know, given the times, you know, recession, like all that stuff, but it's real.
Totally real. So I've really had to learn to goes back to the vulnerable piece, not only with relationships and with past failures, but also with regards to finances and saying, hey, I need some help. I need some guidance. I need some thoughts, you know, whatever. And so that I would say that's a big one for me is I thought I would be further along. And so I'm working towards, you know, being more vulnerable, not making it such a taboo, private subject. Like, you know, hey, I'm not where I need to be, but I know there's hope. I know that I can get there. And so I beat myself up over it, but it's not the end of the world by any means. But that's a big failure for me.
And I think that's something that I identify with because I have struggled years and years out. And it's funny because like I want to create this podcast to be like fully vulnerable and exposed. Because at this point, like I don't give a shit. Like I know who I am. Like a lot of it's like exactly. A lot of it's like public knowledge. Like almost 10 years ago, like I declared bankruptcy.
Sure.
Which is something that most people who've declared bankruptcy will not admit. You know, but it's a public record. Like if you wanted to go find out that I had trouble with finances 10 years ago,
they'd be able to find it.
Yeah. And so I knew damn well that I could either take it one of two ways. I could either go bankrupt and then just live my life as like a shitty person who did not control, did not control their finances, you know, and just getting by. And I was like, I want a better life.
Good for you.
You know,
I love that.
And I got there, you know, and I was like, I was like, even if I failed at finance for this part of my life, I can succeed at it later on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I look at it. I'm like, well, may not be where I want to be, but the great thing is I got this great business that's bringing in, you know, great money and I'm excited about that. But certainly I know that there's some, you know, habits I'm working on changing and some different things, you know, kind of that short-term, you know, the short-term gain or the long-term, you know, that long-term, looking at it long-term is I'm an immediate gratification kind of guy.
Yeah. Why isn't it now?
Right.
I want it now.
Right.
You know, like you want success now.
Yeah. No. And
like the radio show should be,
I want to have it now. You know what I mean? Like I just, there's certain things that I'm that way about it. And people that are going to kind of put off that gratification, save the money, do this, do that. I think are going to enjoy maybe a better retirement, those kinds of things. So now as I get closer to that each and every year, I look at that and go, need to shore up some things on how I think about that.
But you're reflecting on it. You're taking stock of where you're at, where you've been, and where you want to go,
Very reflective person. Yes, absolutely. I think you got to be.
Awesome. Yeah. So I got to ask, a lot of these things you consider failures, I kind of want to ask how you overcame those. And so how did you overcome the failure of relationships?
Well, I haven't overcome it yet. I'm still
you're working on it.
Working on it. Yes, definitely. I would say being open enough to say I need some help. So getting a therapist and counselors in my life, people that would listen and give me some advice, some thoughts. And so one of the really cool ones is a therapist and I last year came to the conclusion. I told him I really wanted to go back to these people that I felt that I'd given too much of a stiff arm to.
Yeah.
And
you put those walls up. You're like, I want to help, or I want to let you in maybe.
Yes. And so what I did is I told him, I said, well, I'm going to go to all those people. I'm going to apologize. And so I contacted, I made a list. It wasn't like 2 or 3. It was like a list. And he's like, you're going to contact all these people? I said, yep. I said, I'm ready to, And so I started calling people, texting people, setting up. I asked to set up a face-to-face meeting with every one of these people. And I basically just apologized. I said, I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm not asking for anything from you. I'm just expressing myself. You can take the information that I give to you. You can receive it, or you can blow it off, or you can tell me to jump in a lake. F off. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I would say it was a list of probably 30 to 40 people.
Damn.
It was a big list. And met with, I would say, everybody but 2. There was 2 that basically said fuck off.
Yeah.
And so,
like, you can't please everyone.
Yeah. So I thought that list would be longer.
But the fact that 28 people decided, hey, I want to hear him out means you didn't burn that bridge like you thought you did.
For sure. No, there was definitely hope. And they were all, which I was not surprising. They were all very, they received it very well. They were all very supportive. In fact, many of them said, well, geez, if there's anybody who should apologize, it'd be me. And I'm like, no, it's not about, this is about me just apologizing. You can take with it what you want. But no, it was very healing in the fact that I felt like I was able to at least recognize the failure, let them know that I'm working on it, which helped me continue the healing process of working on myself. And so it was a huge victory for me in the fact that I did it, and I felt better. Like, okay, this is
it's a peace of mind. Process. You're like, I don't get to carry. That's a lot of baggage to carry with you. I'm done. I want to be a different person.
Yeah. So and then I've also realized through that being with relationships, that you have to be very intentional about improving them. And so I'm certainly not where I need to be or where I want to be, but heading the right direction.
I like that.
Yeah. No, it's been good.
So the athletics part is, I think, a little bit hard to maybe verbalize how you overcame that failure. But what do you think you did in regards to that?
No, I would say it actually has been a huge part, because I realized at that time when the unfulfilled potential and the injury and things like that I was like, well, I've got to have a different plan for my life.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not going to be playing for the 49ers or whatever it is.
Not yet.
Right. They need a quarterback and I can throw. But anyway, but no, I was like, well, I need to have a different plan in my life, because that really was, not that I thought I was going to play in the NFL, but I was going to keep pursuing that. So then I was like, well, I better buckle down in school. I better find another avenue.
Yeah.
That would fulfill me and fulfill, a pocketbook, right?
Yeah.
Family, those kinds of things. And so it just changed my focus of, okay, I need to have a plan B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I needed to have another idea. And so it really helped me kind of uncover maybe some hidden talents. Like, what else could I do? What else could be my gift to the world? What else could I have influence on? What else could I bring to the table to put food on the table? And so it really helped me. So I would say the byproduct of it is it really made me really look at other gifts that I had, other ways I could really contribute. And so that was a huge step for me.
Yeah.
I had this cast. This is back in the day when, now you have a surgery on your knee and you're like walking the same day.
Yeah.
Back then,
they want you to, yeah.
Yeah. Back then, they put you in a cast from your crotch to your toe, and you're stuck.
You're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
And so
for like a while too.
Oh, it was like 6 months, and you have no leg left when you come out of it. But very reflective. It forces you to reflect and go, okay, take stock.
Damn.
What am I going to do? And so it was a huge shift in my life. And so I would say it was very. I'm surprised when I was thinking about the failures, I'm surprised that one didn't come right away, but it definitely formed. Who I am today.
Yeah. So you basically said to yourself, like, I can overcome this by just shifting. Like I'm still going to be an athlete. Like that's still who I am, but it's not my identity anymore.
Right. And that's how I was identified. Growing up. And so, yeah, I'm glad for those failures.
Yeah,
for sure.
Then you became the Dos Machos guy.
Then I became the restaurateur.
So lastly, finances.
Yep.
How did you overcome that failure, or are you still working on that?
Oh, still working on that daily. I still spend way too much, more than I should. I wouldn't say I give too much, but I'm always happy to support this, that, and the other thing. And so sometimes I need to make sure I'm supporting Leif Inc., so to speak. But it definitely, that really goes back to that vulnerable piece of saying, hey, I can't do it myself. I don't have all the answers. I could use some help. And sharing that, like my partner and she and I talk about, hey, if we're going to continue to move forward as a couple, we bought a lot to build a home on, all these kinds of things, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And a certain amount of discipline.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. And so, I would say that one's still a work in progress, but I think acknowledging it instead of hiding from it, instead of keeping it so private, saying, I need to work on this, really need to, even just being disciplined, like, okay, this is how much I got this month in money. This much is going in the bank. This much is going into saving. This much is going towards taxes or whatever that all looks like. Instead of just saying, oh gosh, look at all the money I made. I'm going to go have some fun, whatever it is. Yeah.
Cause that shit's tangible, when you look at and some of those things are not tangible. I relationships, yes and no, even your athletics, yes and no. It's like someone can come along to meet a new person. You can develop a new relationship. Money is not just going to walk into your fucking life.
Right.
It's not going to go
get that shit.
There you go.
Yeah. So last year, this was really interesting. So last year I was like, I needed to come up with some money to buy this lot.
Yeah.
And lots are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So then I was like, so I started selling a bunch of stuff. Sold my motorcycle, sold my truck, sold just some stuff that I, that had value.
You didn't need anymore. Yeah.
But I didn't need it.
Yeah.
But it helped me, kind of figure all this out on the finance so I could go buy this lot. And it's like a half acre, blah, blah, blah. And so then I got that done. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I can go buy another truck. I can go buy another bike. But I certainly started to kind of temper I didn't need as nice a truck. I didn't need as nice a bike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
you manage your expectations a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But now I'm looking at it, obviously, this house I want to build 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, like in the heat of this thing that they call a virus, of COVID, right even before it, the house, the lot, all in, one level, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It was like 350 max.
Oh, now it's like probably 6, 7.
Yeah, it was like 550.
Yeah,
Jennifer's like, oh, I think we can do it for 450. I'm like,
oh, how? What are you cutting out? Yeah,
right, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Just no lights. Everything by
no
candlelight.
Lights, no grass. So
we're gonna boil our water outside.
Right.
And bring it in.
So anyway, it's a process, and so so now it's kind of a game changer. It just costs more, and so now we're trying to navigate that. So this is why I always say this. It sounds kind of corny. I'm the king of corny statements, but it costs a lot to live.
It really does.
It just costs a lot to live, and so I've always been one of those guys where I can either scrimp, save, and not spend as much, or I can just go make more money. So I kind of lean more to the other side. Like I'm just going to go make more money. Which is great. It's a huge blessing, but at the same time, I need to be a little more fiscally responsible.
Because more money, more problems, right?
Oh boy. Woo. So true. So true.
So last piece, we want to go over here because I think it's something that everyone.
We're already done. Dang it.
I know, right? It's just such an exciting.
Xander speaks.
Such an exciting time here. What advice do you have for folks who are afraid of failure?
I would say it's just part of the process. I mean, if you're going to be successful at anything, you have to have failure. I think I don't know anybody that really hasn't. They may not speak about the failures, or the roadblocks, the hiccups, the speed bumps, the obstacles. I mean, but they are there. They are real. They're legitimate. And so for me, I had to learn just how to get out of my own fucking way.
Damn. Yeah.
To be brutally honest. And so it's a continual battle, but no, I think failure is a part of it, and it's part of the journey. And really, I've kind of learned to embrace it. Like, I can look back now at that time when I was having to apologize to 30, 40 people and go, man, look at how much I grew through that, and I think that hopefully that had a great ripple effect on them. I think people seeing, me going through some of the financial things, I think makes it real for them. And then, athletics, I mean, like you said, maybe not everybody's had some of that, but I think it was, I would say, the unfulfilled potential through the athletics has really made me change direction, shift, pivot, whatever you want to call it. But there's a huge lesson in all that, right? Yeah.
I mean, the big takeaway I'm taking from this is, like, the quotations, obviously, JFK is asked now what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of your own way. Leif Welhaven.
Yep.
Like, that's
so
your
true.
Quote, like your epitaph, like on your stone.
Yeah. Well, no, because I mean, to wrap it up, really, like you said, I mean, I always had great jobs, and I think I told you for 14 years, I didn't even own a car because I was always driving a company car, So that to the real world, that is success.
Yeah.
That's success.
Someone else is doing it.
Someone else taking care of it. But I knew I was, meant for more, wanted to do something different, whatever that case was. But I was scared to death to go do my own gig, because the good news is it's up to you. The bad news is it's up to you.
Yeah.
Too.
So success looked different back then than it does now.
Right. So I was like, well, I've got to change the way, in here, I got to change the way I think, people I hang around, my environment, what goes in here and here, that type of thing. So yeah, it's exciting times now, but
I love it.
Long way to go, brother.
Long way to go. Hey, I want to thank you for coming on our pilot episode.
Appreciate you.
Being vulnerable, because obviously talking about your failures is not easy.
Not easy.
No,
for sure.
So we'll have to have you back on, and
I look forward to
the future, and so you can talk about what other successes and
possibly what other failures.
Thanks for
there's plenty.
Right.
But thanks for me being on the pilot. That's kind of a cool deal. I'm feeling good about it.
Awesome. I love it.